yesterday sprint was a Cota Classic as Roy Martin brings her back on top of the world for the first time in 2024. But who is going to be the Sunday star in the Lone Star State? It's time to race in Motogp. What a venue, what a circuit. This circuit, the Americas in Austin, Texas is. It's long, it's fast, it's technical, it's physically demanding. 5.51 kilometers, 3.43 miles in length. 9 right, 11 lefts make up our 20 corner layout, featuring a real tough physical first section as you run through turns 3, 4, 5 and 6. Fast left-hander through turn 10, which caught MARQUEZ out here on Friday morning, overtaking hot spot on the brakes into turn 12, which saw MARQUEZ experience more drama in yesterday's sprint. There are the most demanding braking points, turns 1, 11 and 12, 16, 17 and 18, the sequence of right-handers really do stress those Michelin tyres, and it is turn 12 where so many key moves have been made down the years here in Austin. This was Pecco Bagnaia on Alex Marquez in the Grand Prix 12 months ago. Texas, and we've had a sprint that will live long in the memory, starting with Fabio Terjatuhya on pole position, Pedro Acosta running the Italian wide in the first corner, dropping it back to fourth place, and then just further, a few corners further out on their opening lap, Marquez aggressive on the inside at turn 12, taking out Fabio Terjatuhya from pole. Marquez on a long lap penalty serving the Grand Prix. Marco Bezzecchi throwing away the World Championship lead after his crash out of second place while he was chasing down Pecco Bagnaia, and having taken the decision, the only rider in the field to run the medium compound rear tyre yesterday for the first time since Malaysia in 2024. Roy Martin takes victory in a sprint, a record 17th victory in the sprint format for the Martinator, and more importantly, what a boost for the factory Aprilia star. He is back on top of the Motogp World Championship standings for the first time since he lifted the biggest prize in motorcycle racing at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya in 2024. Can Martin complete a dream of victory double? Can he back up the double podium, which put him second in the World Championship coming into this American Grand Prix weekend? 2 podiums last time out in Goiânia for Jorge Martin. There is some fierce competition though he faces in this 20-lap Rebel Grand Prix of the United States. Coming up in just under half an hour's time, our coverage of round 3 in this year's Motogp World Championship, slightly delayed after the red flag interruption in the early Moto2 action, but we can now start to begin our countdown in Cota to what we hope is going to be another epic battle. What a sprint it was yesterday, over 10 laps. Marquez crashing out on the first lap and taking out the pole starter Fabio Terjatuhya. The long lap coming the way for the number 93 as he looks to make it 8 wins here in Cota. Marco Bezzecchi losing the World Championship lead after he blew it for the second time in 3 sprints in 2026 as he was chasing down Pecco Bagnaia. Roy Martin was 1.6 seconds behind Bagnaia at one stage in that sprint before he charged through to take a victory, and then crashed with an aborted wheelie on the cool-down lap. Bizarre to say the least, wasn't it, yesterday's sprint? Pedro Acosta thought he'd taken a bronze medal, lost that with a tyre pressure infringement, and Ea Bastianini, who'd been nowhere near the points, let alone the podium in our previous 2 sprints, found himself eventually with a bronze medal. Felt like you could write a book based on what we saw in that sprint yesterday. We're praying that we get half the drama, maybe a little bit more, over double the distance of the 20 laps this afternoon, in the company of Matt Burton, Lewis Sotheby in the commentary box, Jack Appleyard down in pit lane. Lewis, yesterday's sprint, I think the 2 of us have just about recovered from all of the insanity that unfolded before our eyes over those 10 laps. The American fans had a real treat, a real spectacle here yesterday. Today feels like we're going to get something extra special delivered once again when you think that Martin is the World Championship leader, Bezzecchi going for a 5th successive Grand Prix victory, the Terjatuhya with a score to settle with Austin after his crash out of contention yesterday, and Marquez, can he win back the throne and be the king of Cota once again with a long lap penalty to serve? There are so many subplots ahead of this Grand Prix.
Feels wide open, doesn't it? And there are potentially 5 or 6 contenders to win this Grand Prix. I think Marc Marquez is still one of them, but yes, his task is made even harder by the long lap penalty that he carries into this race for the collision with Fabio Di Giannantonio yesterday. Deep in discussions there with Davide Tardozzi. You can see just behind him we have his crew chief Marco Rigamonti. Of course, a special home Grand Prix this for the Trackhouse team, and then we've got high hopes after Friday with Ayagura looking so strong. He starts from 10th on the grid, one row ahead of Raul Fernandez. Justin Marks is with Jack.
Yeah, it is indeed great to be joined by Justin, sporting the stars and stripes, as do the bikes as well. Do you always get excited seeing your bikes on the grid ahead of the US Grand Prix, Justin?
Well, I get excited seeing my bikes on the grid before every race. This one's special, obviously. For our company, we get one opportunity a year to race in the United States, and we really leaned in this year with this amazing livery. So everyone's really excited. Good crowd here today. Great weather. Should be a good day for us.
Been some start to the year for the team as well. Second in the team's championship. Raul on the podium. Eye knocking on the door. Do you think it could come today?
I mean, look, the Aprilia bike is really good. It's just really, really good right now, and you know, we're really settling into a nice groove with both of our riders and how the team communicates and prepares. And I think we can have a lot of success. We had a team dinner last night, and I got up and I said, look, between both of you riders, we can win this year. We can win races this year. You know, they're both riding really well. Today, you know, we're not as qualified as well as I think we want to be, but the race pace yesterday in the sprint was really good. So I've got high hopes. I think we can make some forward progress today.
Thanks, Justin. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Trackhouse boss Justin March. Yeah, keep an eye on Ayagura and Raul Fernandez, because they've got a beautiful American home race livery here this weekend. Ayagura, after Pedro Acosta's post-sprint penalty yesterday, was promoted up to 6th place. So far this year, the former Moto2 world champion is yet to take a checker flag outside of the top 6. He'll be hoping for much more, though, won't he? Ayagura having been second quickest behind Marc Marquez in practice here on Friday. Fuel conservation mode engaged here for Jorge Martin. We have to cover off, Lewis, while we were talking about Marco Bezzecchi and his great chance of making it 5 successive MotoGP victories, which will see him join a very exclusive club. Only 7 riders in MotoGP history previously have won 5 on the spin, but he's got a penalty to come his way. A couple of Italians actually on the grid who are not starting from their grid positions as of yesterday's sprint.
Yeah, Marco Bezzecchi had qualified second, and of course that's where he started the sprint yesterday. He and Luca Marini involved in the same incident which delayed Marc Marquez and certainly scuppered one of his laps in qualifying too. As a result of that, with the mitigation of other bikes being involved and clouding the issue, a 2-place grid penalty was handed out to both Bezzecchi and Marini, so that drops Bez from 2nd to 4th, front of row 2, and Marini from the back of row 3 in 9th to P11, just behind Ayagura.
Well, at least this time around, Jorge Martin was able to negotiate the back straight here in Austin, because if you were with us yesterday for that crazy Kota sprint, you'd have seen after the checker flag sort of overcome with joy and emotion as he attempted to pop a celebration wheelie down that back straight. Jorge Martin, when he landed it, the front wheel locked and down the road he went. Thankfully, everybody concerned for Jorge Martin and Aprilia, all of us neutrals who were just thrilled to see him back to his best and back at the top of the World Championship. He was unscathed. Now, this is probably Marc Marquez into the long lap penalty loop today in double figures. He did so many laps in the warm-up session this morning in the long lap, and this is why he's in it, because as he trail braked a tight line into turn 12, tucking the front on the inside of Fabio Di Giannantonio. Wrong place, wrong time for poor old Digia. Those two, I think it's fair to say, had a little bit of a tense, frosty meeting in the media centre here last night, but I'm sure they'll be burying the hatchet today. But this is the reason why Marc Marquez will be through the long lap penalty loop today.
Yeah, it takes a lot to make that man, Fabio Di Giannantonio, cross. He is one of the most friendly, polite and genial chaps you'll find in this paddock, but Marc Marquez certainly managed it yesterday with that incident at turn 12. Yeah, they were having a conversation outside the media centre where Marc was not trying to make excuses, he was more giving an explanation as to why the incident took place, and Fabio Di Giannantonio basically took it on the chin and essentially said to Marc Marquez, be careful tomorrow, which I'm sure Marc Marquez will be, because he needs to bank some points.
Let's go down onto the grid then. Pedro Acosta, unfortunately off the podium in yesterday's sprint. Can he make amends today in the Grand Prix? Pedro, Jack.
Yeah, third across the line yesterday, Pedro. You put up one hell of a fight. Ready for the same again, I imagine?
Well, we will try that for sure. At the end, we make a really nice sprint race yesterday for this. Let's try to give in the same time.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Pedro Acosta. Already a couple of crashes here this weekend for Acosta. One of them this morning as well. A pretty rapid get-off he had in the warm-up session at turn 2. Going to try and block that out of his mind very, very quickly at the start of this 20-lap Grand Prix. Yeah, third at the checker flag in the sprint yesterday, but with the 8-second penalty for the tyre pressure penalty, that did drop him down into P8. A bit of a present for another KTM rider, Enea Bastianini.
Here's the grid then. It's Di Giannantonio, Acosta and Bagnaia on the front row of the grid. Of course, Acosta and Bagnaia promoted by Bezzecchi's penalty. He starts fourth ahead of Joan Mir and Marc Marquez, who has a long lap penalty to serve today. Jorge Martin, medium rear tyre. He's joined by a few others though today for the Grand Prix after going on his own yesterday. 7th ahead of the Gresini Ducatis of Alex Marquez and Fermin Aldeguer. Ayagura promoted into the top 10 by Luca Marini's penalty. He's 11th ahead of yesterday's sprint podium finisher Enea Bastianini. Ralph Fernandez, Diogo Moreira and Johan Zarco next up. Quartararo top Yamaha ahead of Toprak and Brad Binder. Jack Miller, Frankie Morbidelli and Alex Rins complete your grid of 21 after Maverick Vinales withdrew at the end of Friday's practice action, or after Friday morning. And the information certainly initially on our screens there is that every rider is going medium tyres, front and rear.
The only rider yesterday that took a bit of a risk, took a bit of a punt on that medium rear tyre was your eventual winner, Jorge Martin. What a choice that was for Martin, and of course it does give him a bit of a leg up in this afternoon's main Grand Prix, having done 10 laps on that medium rear tyre at full racing speed. He is going to perhaps feel that will play to his advantage over double the distance this afternoon. Marco Bezzecchi, well, he's in bounce back mode once again, isn't he, Bez? Just like he was in round 1 in Thailand when he blew it when leading our first sprint of 2026. He did bounce back pretty strongly when he won the Grand Prix in Thailand. Can he do the same again here this afternoon? What about Toprak Razgatlioglu? Unfortunate to miss out on the sprint yesterday when he had a technical problem when he was running well in that quartet of Yamahas. Let's get the thoughts of the Turk pre-race here with Jack.
Yeah, Toprak, obvious frustration in the sprint yesterday, but I have to say you've been having a